Right. What do we know? God is love. God is God. False teachers have an angry Old Testament God. That's what it comes down to. They don't want it. It's not the God of the New Testament and the God that was killing all those people in the Old Testament. It was to wipe out the Nephilim blood. That's how this all started. Driftless. Try unimaginable, undescribable, appalling desperation. That's the situation that the Bible calls for when you enter a time of judgment. How about that? It's giving you a sign to come check things out. Formed to match angels, cubit to cubit the same. Christ proves praiseworthy. Well, I haven't written a haiku in a while, and I am the poet prophet. So I thought, I'm going to write a haiku. So I did. If I act as if I know him, it is for a reason. Welcome, everybody, to Mud Flood was Armageddon, the Hitler's birthday, depending on your time zone, 19th or 20th edition. Welcome to Mud Flood was Armageddon. The Mud Flood was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate me or you in a fair and honest way. I do have a lot to go over. I barely know how to start. I should start with the fair use statement. I tend to go over the pictures. I have a lot. The Renaissance period. I think we're going to save these things and go over the pictures. Un momento, because I got these things pulled up, but I wanted you to see this. Got it. You're going to turn it down.
Sorry.
You're going to fly a drone into a tornado. This is not AI, supposedly. What do these guys think of next, huh?
Real life tornado, not AI.
Oh, man, you know, I don't normally go. This guy seems kind of like a racist to me, but he does put some serious things, some funny things. There was one other thing. Was it about a minute 10? Wow.
With this threat, I'm just saying, when you're a public figure and you're speaking, and that's part of your job, you should expect people to make fun of it if you cannot speak clearly. Somebody can help me with this.
Ucha. Nice. The Renaissance. Okay, that's going to pull in when we look at Dutch peasant production. And this is so bad, you know. I've got screenshots of these. I might double them up. I'll probably start talking with it. They have, what is God doing? The short season is real. The people they have involved in it just do not seem to want to put in the time to do the study. I have noticed the evolutionists, the people who believe in evolution, they don't want to be compared to chimps because chimp women sometimes are cannibals.
It's called neonates. And for an entire year, even though we have big brains for control of our bodies, we can't walk. Now, that raises an obvious question. Why can't we walk? Well, it seems that the reason we can't walk is that the main thing we're doing the first year of life is we're trying to develop language skills. We're involved in language acquisition. And that's more of a focus and more of a need for our survival than the ability to walk. So that's really, really different than not only primates, but probably almost any other animal. And there are
they really want to set themselves up, we're better than monkeys. We're not, but they still hang into that 99% monkey, not even a little. Save this spot. It's everywhere. And it's Kansas City. It's the rewrite of the history. The only place where you could have a shopkeeper, Harry Truman, who was there, he's our only 33-degree Mason. Let's make him a judge. Let's make him a senator. Let's make him president. Let's have him drop an atomic bomb, which is impossible. So they faked it all from Kansas City. Here I come.
What the history books do tell us were these naturally rolling hills, accompanied by a few indigenous structures, were mainly torn down by the European settlers to build their architecture when they first arrived. Yet, what we see in the photographs was actually a massive indigenous superstructure, obviously not naturally occurring. As within these previously hidden excavation photographs, we can see dozens of examples of massive stone blocks and even red bricks being founded inside of these, quote, mounds. Another interesting aspect is as we look at these photographs from the 1860s up through the 1890s, we have multiple bridges in the area. That one side of the bridge appears to be super advanced architecture, old world architecture. And this old world architecture appears to sit for years, for dozens of years. And then the other side of the bridge, the side that's being built by the modern citizens of the area, is built out of wood. It's almost as if they can't mimic the architecture that they founded in this area.
They can't. They found it. And they acted like they built it, but they had to live there and establish it because they needed you to be right where you are today, pondering this and saying, well, if this is true, I should maybe go lead more towards the BIBLE. Everybody's talking about Kansas City.
Any other structure, they would have had to pull out this portion and build a wall underneath this rock, because somebody could, to me, make an excuse and say, well, they were shoring that rock up above. The large structures that look like castles on their side, part of it completely falling over the edge of it. Get this out of the way. Look close.
Where did Hidden Truth go? New discoveries in archaeology. What do you got?
Was not included as an activity that they thought that, hunter-gatherer tribes and nomadic people did. But now apparently this was purely a ceremonial site for hunter-gatherers. I think this is complete nonsense. But that's how it's been treated. And that date of civilization remains firmly established at around 6,000 years old. On its own, I think Göbekli Tepe is significant evidence for a much older date for civilization, potentially vastly older when you consider the different phases of occupation here. But what's happened in recent years, and I'm talking the last 5 or 6 years, I think should really be challenging this perspective on civilization, because it turns out Göbekli Tepe is not even close to being the only site that's now been discovered in this part of Turkey. Another site was uncovered and found nearby. It's very close to Göbekli Tepe. It's older than Göbekli Tepe. The dating that has come back from this site, it establishes it at least 500 years older than Göbekli Tepe. It's known as Karahan Tepe. It shares an architecture with Göbekli Tepe. There is a lot of these.
And it does seem they were advanced. It was the Bible. They talked about people built bricks, they built city, other people occupied them, and they had to spread out. Wherever there were those stone buildings that needed to be founded, they needed masons to be into, we're reviving it. We want to believe it. It's our fun little party theme where we like to roll up our pants, untuck our shirts, get knives stuck to our throats, and take death vows. We're not tricked into it. We love it. And they did it. He did it.
While in New York, he suffered a severe coronary thrombosis and was hospitalized, where his condition became worse. Local physicians said he was in a critical, life-threatening situation and recommended he take 6 months rest. In August, he stabilized enough to be dismissed from the hospital and returned to a New York hotel. He had lost 35 pounds and was still.
It's the mob, man. Here, what do you got? The Chesterfield Club.
The Pendergast machine held regular meetings at the Chesterfield as a reward for its top officers. Meetings include.
Wow, all leading up to the war. And things were going on in other countries too. Keeping the record. So it's Kansas City. That's how they got their Freemason guy. Multi-site response. What is this one? Headwater. Okay, I guess Lake Mead. I was into that bathtub ring. I'm trying to figure out, it turns to calcium carbonate. That's what makes it turn white. I wonder I always wondered why it always stays the same. The water shortage, Lake Mead, it's running out. Something's happening. I don't know what these have to do with the water, but bathtub rings in the arid West. Look for more to come on that, because I can't put it in words. I keep, being drawn back to it. But today, the chimpanzee thing, they want to, they're mad. They don't want to be called like we're chimps anymore, but maybe we are. See the Jane Goodall, very famous, wrote about chimps and how we just want to be living together. Only we are capable of true evil, because monkeys can, infanticide their children and eat them. And she did. When she realized that, it forever changed her views of chimpanzees, but she realized she had previously concluded chimps to be nicer than humans, and she was proved wrong. Well, after that, in a question and answer session, Dr. Goodall said that chimpanzees are unable to grasp the effects of their actions on the victim, and nor can they plan physical and mental torture. Only we are capable of true evil. Yet, when we abort children, when we teach women to abort children, it is taught as a good thing. It is not evil. We're normalized into believing that you're not really doing anything wrong, to where when you see a monkey do it to a baby monkey, then that's obviously, oh my goodness, I would never, ever do that. It was who was the name of this Passion and Palm. She tried to intervene. Passion turned violent. She'd been studying these chimps for some time. Male chimpanzees were known to be violent, sometimes participating in the killing of young chimps. They have overall aggressive behavior. But on the other hand, Passion's killings were a surprise, this deviant behavior. And she once even tried to stop the killing spree by throwing sticks and stones. They killed 10. This was during the 70s. It was infanticide. Her world was turned upside down. She couldn't believe it. Killed and ate 3 baby chimpanzees in a month. And it was with her daughter. They didn't have a moral compass, I guess. Huh. It's weird. I know. Where's it? Non-notable human apes. Jane Goodall. There she is. She studied the Casaclia. And that was, beginning in the 1960s. You still hear about it today. What a wonderful woman. That's one of a series of famous photographs. It's not advised to be nice to a chimp. They will eat your face off. They gave them humanizing names, David Graybeard, Graybeard, I'm sorry about that. But they proved that chimpanzees could use sticks, make a stick, strip the leaves and the small stems off of it to make a fishing pole for termites. Everything was going good until the women turned violent also. Isn't that crazy? They have it all done, man, with IMAX. Then they just started eating the other ones. Now, so they know, our whole history of the alpha male is based on we are like chimpanzees, but there also is a female dominance that has a top-ranking female, and there is that pecking order. That's what they call it. A high-ranking female does not have a dependent child. She could be taken over. This is crazy, man. The perpetrators are usually higher ranking than the victim and most often supported by their female kin. Mother-daughter coalitions, such as, Passion and Palm, Fifi and Fanny. These are known as infanticidal attacks on female offspring. Oh, you don't want to be submissive to me? How about I cook and eat your kid? Unbelievable. What am I, Wow. Okay. I did study that National Defense Education Act. I want you guys to, to know that's pulled up for a reason. It's the DARPA. It's the STEM. You had to swear that the United States hadn't been taken over illegally or unconstitutionally. Again, that leaves room that it was taken over, but it was done legally and constitutionally. And now we're a corporation with the other mafias of the world run by the Committee of the 300. Faked it. And this was the end of the Eisenhower era, who was, he replaced the Truman. And they were all just generals, Freemasons, pulling a fast one on you because that's what they do. Again, from the service, we can't get it over. They want people addicted to heroin. They talk our talk. We know history is being informed by the Boxer rebellions, the fact that it seems like China, Asia was a peace-loving area where we tricked them into doing drugs. The collateral damage was women of every race. It does not matter. Love heroin. The women's opiate dependency was everywhere under the flat earth domed. Middle-class women disproportionately likely to become dependent on opiates. You just go down to the store and they couldn't do it. They know women, when they get sad, you can't figure it out. You're not going to the Bible, you're getting the Blavatsky. Everything's weird, man. So why not take heroin? Look at that. People giving their little children heroin, putting it on a stick, and they love it. Give them more heroin there. Let's see. Reminder, repetition reiteration, and redundancy are the 3 R's, not reading, writing, arithmetic, repetition, reiteration, redundancy. I'm going to go over this verse one more time. As we look not for things that are seen, but to things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal. To the 7 churches, John, to the 7 churches in Asia. All of Asia departed me. 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 15. The great falling away. 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 15. All of Asia has departed me. We're going to keep this one pulled up. We're going to look at Hosea 1:7, but I will have mercy on the house of Judah, and I will save them by the Lord their God. I will not save them by bow or by sword or by war or by horses or by horsemen. Whew. We got to keep rolling here. We're getting back to that other one about the Revelation 1. I got JT. He's a confused man. He's working with a confused man. They understand the golden age past. They can't. They don't want to talk to me. They don't want to be mean to other people. They just want to get their version. But what about the doctrine? They know there has to be some doctrine. I have this part saved for a reason, but I don't remember it.
You have that kind of resistance to doing it in general, because I'm like, obviously the bigger my platform gets, the more like a word from me could really have impact on this person's life in a very negative way. And if I'm not correct about what I'm saying, then I shouldn't say anything.
For sure. No, for sure. And I know you and I are very similar in the sense that we've never been the kind of people to go after people. We've never been the kind of people to like make a video exposing like one person in the space or someone that's wrong about something, or something that's, even if there was, like you said, some low-hanging fruit where it was like obvious someone was wrong or they were grifting or they were whatever.
And that's what I'm going to be going over today with this guy, Dutch peasant. And I have seen JT with Understanding Conspiracy talking about do re mi. They don't like my attitude, so they're not going to engage with me. I'm trying to take too much credit for starting the Flat Earth Nation Golden Age Past movement, simply because I started it with a website called Flat Earth Nation Golden Age Past. And the main message was, hey, the stones are crying out. They're the body parts of the ancient titans. And the millennium is over. It's time to start reading the Bible like they believed the rapture was imminent for them. And so I did. And people were all about it for a long time until I didn't believe in the Trinity anymore. Until I was saying, no, the idea of the New Testament isn't that now we understand there's 3 gods in one. No, the idea of the New Testament was now we understand there is a new and better covenant. And it was Gentiles are part of true spiritual Israel. And from that point, I was just a mean guy that I'm not worth the time to debate. Okay, JT, we'll see how things go for you. I'm still praying for you. I don't think you're fake. I think you are searching, but you're barking up the wrong tree. I got to close these out. Again, they found it. They had to populate it. So they moved people there. You build it, claim you did it. They only have to maintain this lie for a while. Tracery is how they say they did it. Maybe that's how they did it. By it, I mean this, these geometric patterns because they actually found proof of traceries on the floor. Science proves these knobs, these actually hold it together. They would vibrate apart if they didn't have knobs on it. They learned so much from what they cannot replicate. It basically is called tracery. Here's my algorithm. I guess I saved it for a reason. Maybe we'll look something up. So here is a tracery. See, they have, here's, we're going to put it, medieval masons made the most of their drawings during construction. They could make it on paper. They could put it in clay. They just needed all they needed was a string and a compass. Let's start that slideshow. Does this slideshow even work? We got to go. Look at these guys. This is a 2,000-year-old thermal spring. The rest of this city got just mud flooded, baby. But the hot water thing still works. This is perhaps the oldest thermal treatment center in the world. And I'm all about thermal treatment. I want people to sweat, stretch, eat organic. Love the Lord. I just thought you'd like to see it, They're working it. They got the water figured out. They got the aqueducts. It's all covered up. You can find that and read the Bible and think it's true. Or you could just say it's a remarkable coincidence. There's a close-up of these tracing the past of how they find it. Wells Cathedral. They make it in the clay, and then they transfer it to the windows or to the flying buttresses. But even they needed, a little help along the way. I thought it was interesting. I thought you might think it was interesting. It's how, because according to them, unless they had these tracing patterns, they wouldn't understand what they're trying to say in the windows and the close-ups. But to make it work, you need traceries. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. I thought you needed to know that. Look at that big tracing window. I could do it with a square and a compass, a string and a plumb bob, really. It's about all they really needed. What do you got?
Also hit the like button and share the video with as many people as you can. We want to get the word out of what's really happening in America, and the truth will never be silenced here on Loud and Clear.
Is he a
Let's get
computer?
on with the next part of the video. Now, the third god of American evangelicalism is Donald Trump. I know that's a hard sentence. I know some of you are resisting it right now, but the evidence is not subtle anymore. This past week, Donald Trump shared an image of himself in a Christ-like pose, worshiped, glorified, divine, actually healing somebody. He did not take it down. He did not apologize.
Yeah, he did.
Stood by it.
He took it
Then
down.
He attacked the Pope, the man who quoted Jesus.
He said he thought he was being portrayed as a doctor.
For being too liberal, weak on crime.
The Pope is a false Christian who's really backing and hiding and covering for the history of the pedophile predications of their priesthood. He's a bad, evil man that just sells a false religion. What are the other things you got here, dude? You got this, America is God's country.
Just as God told Joshua to take the promised land, America has a divine mandate, a God-ordained authority over this continent, perhaps over this hemisphere, perhaps over the world itself. This is why God and country are fused together as if they are a single phrase. This is why American flags and Christian crosses stand side by side at political rallies.
Yep, they sure do. Hey, look, I subscribe to Johnny Cerrucci. He's back and he only has 105 subscribers. Now, I have no idea where he's been. Here's Johnny pointing at you. And he's back. I've never seen a single individual know more about the Freemasons than Johnny Cerrucci. So I'm glad to have him back. He is all about the Trinity. He's all about America. He's a former like captain in the Marine Corps. He's like a Rob Skiba type. We'll see what they're talking about.
Hamas launch its rape fest to commemorate Our Lady of Victory in the battle and the Templar victory of the Ottomans. You'd think it'd be the other way around.
Right.
Unless, of course, it really wasn't them. It was an actual puppet master that is laughing at you the whole time because you're not picking up on any of this. Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile raped for decades with the help of the British government and the Catholic Church. Jimmy Savile was a hyper devout daily mass Roman Catholic. To this day, he remains a knight of the British Empire and a knight of the Catholic Church. They refused to strike him from the rolls. He was dead for a full 11 years before nobody knew, but he was raping kids left and right and right and left. And then suddenly the cops and the journalists all decided to do their job at 11 years after the guy's dead.
Yeah.
That's the power of the Catholic Church. That's the pre-Epstein years and years. Oh, the Franklin cover-up. We could do a whole show on just the Franklin cover-up that should have been the Boys Town cover-up, except a Roman Catholic priest named John DeCamp, who was a CIA operative, not operative. He was the aide de camp of the station chief of Saigon, the CIA Saigon station chief, a guy by the name of Bill Colby, the warrior priest behind the Phoenix Project. Okay. And he was told by the head of the Inquisition at that time, a guy by the name of Joseph Ratzinger, Nazi youth Joseph Ratzinger, who was the prefect for the Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith. That's the Inquisition, by the way. Inquisition never went away. Cardinal Ratzinger told almost priest John DeCamp, got to make this go away. It's very embarrassing for the church. Oh, yes, Your Eminence. Happy to do it. Happy to do it, Your Eminence. And he later had a papal audience with
Johnny Cerrucci's back. Go, Johnny.
emphasize anything that has to do with this Jesus of Nazareth guy fulfilling the scriptures. Yeah. I don't know if this is a Masoretic failure. I know that it is the Reformed translation failure. To an example, one of my favorite examples is Isaiah 7:14 of the sign given by Yahweh to, oh my goodness, it wasn't Ahab. Was it Ahab? It was a rebellious Israelite king that was like, God, Yahweh was like prodding him. Do you want a sign? You want a miraculous sign? I'll give you a sign. And the Reformed, I want to say the Reformed or revised. It was revised. The revised translation says, a girl's going to have a child. What? Meanwhile, Septuagint and other more reliable translations, no, a virgin will have a child. What kind of sign is a girl going to have a child? Are you kidding me? That's not a miraculous sign.
Therefore, the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son and shall call his name Emmanuel.
You know, warning on a danger flag right there. Considering the Apocrypha, what was the Septuagint, a reliable translation, and that, pointing it out as it tells the truth. You know, the virgin is obvious, and it's not an unused thing, you know. I can't find out where he's saying like, wants to prop up the Septuagint. I guess that's part of a different way that you have to hold on to the Trinity.
Huge difference.
Yeah, it's very specific.
And these are some of the difference that if you dig. So anyway, it was just a quick apology.
So there's ways of messing up the Bible and knowing that, hey, Rome is wrong.
Book, but Eaters of Children, my third book, The Pedophile Shuffle. You'll have a rank and file priest, because once you become a bishop or cardinal or pope, you don't touch little boys anymore. Rank and file priests are the only ones that ever get examined. For generations, for decades, they have their fill of raping kids, particularly little boys, pederism. And after decades, maybe even they die off and they're gone, or they're in their 80s, they're drooling on themselves. Now they're safe. Now they're going to kick them to you. Now we're going to do our job. Now we're going to look into it, and you'll have a handful of complaints, and most of them have a statute of limitations, and they're gone. And that's it. I mean, I want to say.
So they pay billions of dollars a year to cover it up. And that's the way it was. But now it's just Jeffrey Epstein. Look at that. Ezekiel chapter 5, verse 10. Parents will eat their own children, and children will eat their parents. I will punish you and scatter to the wind the few who survive. This wasn't even a remnant left. And people, you can say, I'm not a chimp. I would never eat a human. Jeremiah 19, verse 9. And I will make them eat the flesh of their sons and their daughters, and everyone shall eat the flesh of his neighbor in the siege. So if you're not in the siege, you're not going to be part of the human eaters. The idea is don't get caught in a siege ever. And everyone shall eat the flesh of his neighbor in the siege and in the distress with which their enemies and those who seek their life afflict them. They're trained, they're normalized into believing you really aren't as equal as they are. And behold, a virgin, so we looked that one up. We know it means a virgin. Debated. Back then, there wasn't a lot of fooling around going on. That it really did. I know it sounds strange, but Hillary didn't make up that thing that it takes a village. We're going to look at, how he starts, just like, everybody loves that it's a flat earth nation and the golden age has passed and we're finally reading the scriptures. And yet, this is traceable back to a friend of Tommy from Texas. A girl named Ashley had a guy that I guess was her husband. At first they were living, but then he got married. I think that's the order. But whatever, he came up with the thing of like, we're after the millennium and after the great white throne of judgment. And he breaks it in 1845. He starts talking about, he understands this because he found a book that talks about the Renaissance, proves it.
Do you want to see the proof that the saints were deposed, captured, convicted, and put to death? Of course you want to see the proof. So let's go into it. I've been investigating a crime. The investigation actually started with this. My longtime YouTube friends already know this, but for any newcomer, and I welcome you, I like to point out what actually started my investigation, as well as this channel, by the way. The word prophesied that Jesus would return while his disciples would still.
You see, I could have, maybe I got a screenshot of that. I don't know. We'll look at what I got after his little intro. These were the things that so many people were, I went from 2,000 subscribers to almost 10,000. And it was going. But I did mention ivermectin and got copyrighted, striked out, and had to start over. While I was gone, oh my goodness, did the understanding conspiracy, everybody came in, nobody wanted to question the Trinity. Everything was all good as long as we believed the Trinity.
Be alive on earth. Even the gospel was preached in the world. This could not happen in our future. I was a Bible believing Christian, I still am. And when Jesus said all these things, to my view, it couldn't occur in our future. It had to occur in our past. Jesus must have returned 2,000 years ago. That was my.
This is the argument that everybody loves. And in heaven, when we replay back, where did this all start? Some people will go like, thank you, I listened, I'm so happy. Other people will say, you know, it was great. I'm glad that somebody came along and helped Alan Paco fix it. Because, boy, we needed the Dutch peasant.
To publish a video about this on April 2025. And now it is April 2026. And I'm thinking, what's going on? Phew. At least it's not April 1st. This is the newspaper I'm talking about. The Greensboro Patriot of April 26, 1845. In one of the Facebook pages, or maybe a Telegram page, a person mentioned this article. So I recovered the article from the Internet Archive and did my video last year, April. So later, a YouTube friend asked me to send him the link.
The long story short, that page was missing. So he had to go back to his video and find out, why did they take out that one page from the Internet Archive? It was to hide the fact that during the Renaissance, they were killing people and they told about it in this paper.
I realized I must have missed something very important. So I studied the article once again and decided to publish a new video about it. Because we're actually looking at the proof that the saints reigned on earth. The saints were thrones by the new government.
Okay, interrupting again, have to. Show me one verse where the Bible teaches that saints are going to rule on earth, or that supposedly the saints of the blessed first resurrection were made different types of saints that were going to physically live for 1,000 years on earth, where there's no Bible verse that Christ ruled in that fake Jerusalem for 1,000 years. This is all based on complete nonsense.
The saints and the followers were eliminated. And you know what? They explained into detail how they did it. It was in the news. CNN, 1845 AD. And this actually happened a few hundred years ago. How about it? Before I continue, I want to explain what the world would look like. 3 types of kingdoms on earth. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven.
All right, so I think it is time that we go to some of the pictures, and let's first go explain away his situation here. We have John in the Spirit told to write 7 churches letters because the time was near. He was in the Spirit. Jesus came to him and told him, you know, he's coming in the clouds. More, whoever, even those who pierced him, they would still be alive. I'm the Alpha and the Omega. I, John, your brother and partner in the tribulation, in the Spirit, praying for them. And all of a sudden, write what you see in a book. So there is the introduction to, I am to give you a prophecy. Now, at the end of the book, we see the prophecy is over when it goes to verse 8, because Jesus is finishing. He's given the entire prophecy. These words are trustworthy and true, Jesus said to John. Behold, I'm coming soon. Blessed is everyone who keeps the words of the prophecy in this book. So he said he was going to write a book. John, you write a book. And now he just did. So John's back now. He's wrapping up. Here, I've given the prophecy. It's the book of the prophecy. I am John. I'm the one who heard this, and I saw these things. I wrote them down. I fell at his feet. People are going to be people. The angel said, don't do that. I'm a fellow servant with you and your brothers, the prophets, and with those who keep the words of this book. Do not seal up the words of this prophecy. The time is near. Let the evildoer still do evil and the filthy still be filthy. Now, the book of the prophecy hadn't happened yet. Those things of the great white throne, Dutch peasant and James 1979, or whatever his, I can't remember his thing, Tala, and the other people who have promoting this for going on 4 years now are completely back-assward. Let the evildoer still do evil. And they'll say, well, there's still evil people in the world after the great white throne. No, that was a prophecy in order that took place. Now he's explaining this prophecy's over. There are still people out there that are going to try to be wolves in sheep clothing and trick you from following the gospel. Understand that. Let them be evil. Let them be filthy. But the righteous, you do righteous and still be waiting on the Lord. Jesus jumps in again and says he's coming soon. Reminds them of some of the language of the letters. Most importantly, in verse 18, I warn everyone who hears the words of the prophecies. What is it? Revelation 1 verses, chapter 1 verse 10 through Revelation 22 verse 8. Anyone who hears the prophecies of this book and doesn't want to act like the filthy that are still going to be filthy, don't add to the book of the scriptures. You'll get more plagues. Sorry, guys, that's what you should expect. Especially the people that take the Mormon that says another gospel of Jesus Christ. Okay, you're dead in the water from the start. Anyone take away, add to it. It's over for you. It's completely understood that way. Now, looking at where are we going to pick up those scriptures at? Let's see. I showed the bad dime stuff. Here we go. This was interesting. Precision and beyond. You might want to let your mind race on this. Is that a tracing stone? Huh, I don't know. Chimpanzees. These guys need to be tortured to show their teeth in the movies. Regular chimp doesn't show its top lips. I thought that'd be interesting. Donald Trump. Can I have some, please? He said about the mushrooms. Oh, $50 million after decades and decades of knowing this is what's going to help people. And they're acting like this is a big deal. Well, it is a big deal. But a lot of people are going to say, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do mushrooms. I'm not going to do LSD. I've heard that makes you realize who you really are in the universe. And some people don't want that. Look at 1983. He trained these girls, come with me and you'll be rich and famous living on an island, taking care of me. And this is his birthday party. You probably saw President Trump's situation on that deal. Let's see. The Renaissance demons. Okay, so he's thinking that they wrote this article in 1945. This is what he believed happened a few hundred years ago. We live outside the gates. That's New Jerusalem, and he thinks that we live outside the gates. That's a direct reference to the heresy of the Revelation 22, verse 8, and that, the evil forces were released. The world was conquered by evil. He says this period is called the Renaissance, talking about, Revelation 20, verse 5, 7, and 8. They're going to go out and receive them. And then he even highlights, for without are dogs and sorcerers. So he's thinking that, that's where we're in our history today. And it's all from that article that he found. Oh, the Lord gave him an article during the Renaissance. It was the laws and the persecutions, the Renaissance, the Renaissance. One of the real problems with that is the Renaissance took place from the late Middle Ages to the early modern era, covering the 14th and 15th century realistically. It didn't really end until they tried to have a revolution in France where virtue replaced scripture. They changed the 7-day work week. That was the Renaissance is the big deal, as people who follow my teaching realize, they prop that up. That's where they want to say, yeah, those were the smart people. They were looking to be good and they didn't need God. And that's where the banking came, printing, navigation. It's all from the Renaissance, but it wasn't in 1845. It had nothing to do with 1845. And I listened and I didn't find anything to where he could prove that it was 1945 or 1953 and that it was the Renaissance. That it's the Renaissance, started going back to 1845. The Renaissance period, millions of followers of Christ were admitted. The offense was religious insanity. So they're calling that the Renaissance. It's just the way that people are going to be embarrassed when they try to explain this to somebody who has kind of a grasp of history and the Bible. The law provided for the government to eliminate. So, he's saying he's got all the proof in the world right there. It's the Renaissance proved it. Lunatics had their golden age of laws were made when they wandered forth at large and were revered as saints or as partaking in something holy and divine, but with laws and civilization, their Iron Age began. It is continued almost to the present time. I guess that's a quote that's proving that we missed the great white throne and we're living outside the gates. The saints were declared insane. Okay, yep, you got that. 1853 should be 1845 AD. Kings of the earth would not bring their glory into the city of Jerusalem. The nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light, and the kings there to bring their glory and honor to it. Now, I'm pretty sure they did that when the Bible says that when Christ was betrayed and they chose Barabbas, there were 16 different countries mentioned or languages of people that have come to Jerusalem to worship their God. And again, blessed are they that do his commandments, that they might have right to the tree and may enter in through the gates of the city. I don't, it really doesn't make a lot of sense.
The holy reign
You're
with the
getting the thumbs up
saints
though, because
would
they
be
love
on earth,
heresy.
and the city of God would be in the midst of the nations. There would be nations who would keep his commandments, and the kings of the earth would bring the glory and honor into the city of God, the new Jerusalem.
There was a time of the Gentiles where the temple was run by a den of thieves, but the Gentiles, as it mentions in there, from all of Asia, Pamphylia, Medes, Persians, were there to worship God on that holy day when Christ was crucified. Jumping ahead.
Written in 1853 and covered a period of a few hundred years before 1853. And this is the period of the Renaissance. And there we are. The Renaissance period was marked by a fascination with the occult, dark arts, and supernatural beings. Renaissance demons played a
Does anybody care of these people thumbing it up? And you know the actual the comments. I mean, they absolutely love him. It's a God bless you, brother. This is excellent. He was coming back, and he did. So why listen to Alan Paco? We got all these other guys saying, "I'll take it from here." God bless. Oh yes, government serves Satan. Oh, the comforting thing has been misused. Renaissance equals the reign of the saints. Really? Wow. How is it possible that there is that much of a disconnect between real history and what any people just want to just throw it out there? As long as they're going to be Trinity loving ecumenical of we don't care what you believe to be saved. You can speak in tongues, be a Mormon, charismatic, as long as you believe in the Trinity and that we're right and they're wrong.
The Iron Age began, and this continued almost to the present time. Before the Renaissance, the saints and their followers were revered. They were the ones who controlled the world. And this ended with the rise of Renaissance. The governments in the Renaissance enacted laws to declare saints insane with the aim of eliminating them and taking over the world. In the Renaissance period, millions of followers of Christ, or should I say the...
Wow, okay. Let's see how he wraps it up at the end and destroys the continuity of Scripture.
...it off. And the masses were told that it was for their own protection. Reading on in the 1853 article, you witness the intense cruelty of the demonic Renaissance period. During the Renaissance, laws were made to persecute the Christians and put them in lunatic asylums. The legislators people persecute them, dispose of them with the help of the masses. After all, it's for your own protection. This sentence also stands out. Ancient legislation regarded merely the protection of the public against dangerous acts of lunatics and that of their families from the dissipation of their property. Dissipation of their property?
Yeah, but they're slaves. Most people were Christians that said the Bible, that were put in silence. The Bible doesn't teach this type of inhumanity to man. And they said, this person must be crazy because our society can't work without chattel slavery.
Property? Are they saying they seized their properties? Is that the ancient version of you will own nothing and be happy? It was called Chancery Inquisition. For the wealthy, a legal process could declare a person of unsound mind.
And then they could take their slaves. They did. They used the lunatic asylums. It wasn't the Renaissance. It was how they were building up for the new normal. So the world could make normal schools, so they could accept the Jesuits' globe.
You can't unsee it. This is what I believed happened a few hundred years ago. The evil forces were released, and the world was conquered by evil. This period is called the Renaissance. The nations that kept God's commandments were overthrown, and new kings of the earth worshiped the devil. And we now live in darkness.
We're not holding out in hope that this is all one continuous plan and that God is still going to, and then it's the camp of the saints, great white throne, where some will be rescued by fire, the people who listen and again head for the hills and aren't going to be caught in a siege eating each other. The warning of Revelation 22:15, for without our dogs and sorcerers, could not have been more clearly presented to you here today, just now. And if you read the book of Revelation, it's obviously clear. Revelation 22 is not talking to us today. It was still a part of the Bible that was talking to them. The wolves in sheep clothing didn't give up as it got closer and closer to when every eye saw him return. The simple facts remain. There is a right way and a wrong way to read the Bible. You can be 99% wrong, but that is the equivalent of, brother, how did you get into this wedding party and you're not wearing the garment? Take him and throw him out. It was that close, people of being like, we got it, we got it. You can't fool God. That's not the Renaissance. That's not the gospel. That's not the correct way to teach. The golden ages past. It is a flattered nation. We all know the orphan train brain thing. We got it. We've been changed. We're not. There is somebody that God said, bring this to the world. And if you don't, I'll give you gangrene. Oh, I had gangrene. I went with, I will do this. This is what I owe him. I am showing God I will suffer for being correct about what to teach about you. And he has blessed recently. I feel like Lot being restored. This is a flat earth nation. The golden age is past because the mud flood was Armageddon. Amen. Aho, aloha, arrivederci, ciao, sayonara, auf Wiedersehen, nakame. Just one of the ways I like to say goodbye, not the most fun way.